point. He's good at setting traps. Has crazy power that he believes in. He has a great chin too because he's a guy. He'll let you get out punches. He'll still be coming at you, and then once he gets you, it's great.
Great. Crawford's one of the best switch hitters, I think, since Marvin Hagler, and one of the most skillful boxers alive.
He has very good skills. He's one of my favorite boxers. He able to win this fight.
Errol Spence was left amazed after watching Terence Crawford's intense training for the upcoming Canelo fight. Having faced him before, Spence already respected Crawford's elite skills and high ring IQ. But what he witnessed in this camp took things to another level. Lightning speed, precise movement, and footwork that seemed unreal. Crawford looked sharp, explosive, and completely dialed in. Canelo better not take this version of Crawford lightly. When Terence Crawford looked back on his fight with Errol Spence, the mutual respect was evident. Crawford, famous for his calm and strategic approach, highlighted how he methodically breaks down opponents before unleashing powerful, relentless combinations to finish the job.
How hard does Spence hit?
He didn't hit that hard.
He never caught you that clean. That was probably the best shot he landed.
No, he caught me a couple of times, but I was surprised at how hard he did.
Really?
Given that everybody say, "Oh, he's a big puncher," I think he's just a volume puncher. I think he just wears opponents down, just wear them down. I don't think he has a one-punch knockout. He have power, but it's not like boom, sleep. I think it's like bam, oh, boom, 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 and he just wear you down.
Right. Yeah. That is a difference, right?
Because if you look at his career, you never seen him like knock nobody out with one punch. You never see him dropping nobody with one punch. You always see him like wearing them down. That's why he goes so hard to the body, because he want to wear you down. Then once you get tired and once your body start weakening, everything start weakening. And those little punches that wasn't hurting start hurting.
Former world champion and boxing analyst Chris Algieri offered a sharp comparison between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Algieri pointed out that Crawford has shown complete dominance and control in nearly every fight, rarely allowing his opponents any momentum. In contrast, Canelo has had moments where he appeared overwhelmed, what boxing experts call getting bossed. A prime example was his loss to Dmitry Bivol, where Bivol's size, jab, and discipline controlled the bout. Algieri's analysis reinforces the idea that Crawford, despite moving up in weight, brings a style built on control, adaptability, and technical mastery, qualities that can unsettle even elite champions like Canelo.
And Terence Crawford, who do you think can be the boss that night? When you talk about these two guys, you talk about two guys, number one, you can't boss me around. Two guys, you can't even look at me a certain way without me feeling some type of way. These guys now have set their sights on one another. Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Obviously, we know the weight difference, but we've seen Crawford looks like he's coming up slowly to that weight class and kind of acclimating himself in real time. How do you see that fight playing out?
We're still pretty far away from that fight, and I'm going to hold my complete analytics on that. But I'll tell you this.
Contrast and compare, maybe not a pick.
But I'll tell you this. I've seen Canelo pushed around. I've never seen Terence pushed around. So if we're talking about who's going to be the boss, I've never seen anyone boss Terence Crawford. I've seen Canelo get bossed. So that just psychologically, when you think about that, and this is a fight where I flip-flop on both guys because there's so many good points. Yeah, but he's 168. Yeah, but it's Terence Crawford. He's undefeated. Well, yeah, no, this guy's beating this. But, stylistic, even he hits him on the arm. There's so many different things you can talk about. But from a psychological standpoint, who's fresher, who's meaner, who wants it more? That's going to come into play.
As a boxing fan, how much fun is it to see those two attitudes come together? It's kind of like the unstoppable force versus the immovable object get ready to collide.
I've worked a lot of Canelo fights, and Canelo fight weeks are great. he plays to the crowd really well. His fans are awesome. I'm thinking about the Caleb Plant situation. I'm thinking about the Billy Joe Saunders situation. When he gets that in his head that he's got an extra chip, he becomes a really dangerous man.
Veteran commentator Max Kellerman offered a thoughtful and balanced analysis of the Crawford versus Canelo matchup. He acknowledged that both fighters bring unique strengths to the table, but ultimately gave the edge to Terence Crawford based on recent form and overall skill set. Kellerman emphasized Crawford's exceptional timing, switch-hitting ability, and surging knockout power, which have all reached new heights in recent years. While Canelo remains a top-tier fighter, Kellerman noted signs of decline in his movement and aggression. He did, however, point out Canelo's size advantage as a potential factor in close exchanges. Still, considering speed, precision, defense, and adaptability, Kellerman favored Crawford as the sharper, more complete fighter.
Counterpunching. But overall, I have to say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power. Canelo also has a great chin. But in terms of if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford. But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton than Crawford. No matter what they weigh, Canelo's the bigger guy.
Yeah. You briefly mentioned Canelo's power, so who I would assume Canelo has.
You'd have to think, unless Crawford was on a knockout streak until he moved up to junior middleweight and then failed to stop Madrimov. So, and Canelo, though he has not stopped anyone in a while, we've seen he's a real puncher at 68.
As far as speed, who has a better speed?
You would imagine Crawford, given the fact that he is the naturally smaller fighter.
The dynamics of this highly anticipated showdown are truly compelling. Terence Crawford is entering uncharted waters by moving up in weight, a move that often comes with challenges to speed, endurance, and overall effectiveness. Meanwhile, Canelo Alvarez, though vastly experienced at this level, is no longer the explosive powerhouse of his prime. Recent performances have shown him rely more on calculated control than the relentless pressure he once applied, and his knockout rate has noticeably dipped. This creates a more balanced matchup than some might expect. If Crawford can maintain his signature footwork, high fight IQ, and elite conditioning, he has a very realistic path to victory against a slightly diminished, though still dangerous, Canelo.
For Canelo, obviously at 168, he has been a bit of the smaller man at that weight class, and in the last couple of years has had trouble finishing opponents and getting guys out of there like he would have at 160 or 150. So you have a bit of a duality there. Both guys coming into this fight in the, let's say, twilight of their careers, or maybe twilight of their primes, however you want to look at it. Canelo is going to be, I think, 35. Terence is 38. So you have a similar situation, different paths, and different struggles for both fighters. But when you look at who has to do more in this fight, it's clearly Terence Crawford, as far as what he's giving up and sacrificing to win this third undisputed championship and to try to beat Canelo, who has only been beaten twice in his career, one of which was Floyd Mayweather being slick and tagging Canelo with counter punches when Canelo missed, and the smaller, lighter fighter and up there in age that was still able to take advantage of the youth and experience of Canelo Alvarez, but also just being a defensive maestro and able to counter off of that. Floyd is one-of-one. And then you have Dimitri Bivol, who was the bigger fighter, and the things that Canelo does very well didn't really hurt him too bad, right? The things that had carried Canelo up in division was his power and the ability to break an opponent down, maybe not stopping them in the early to mid part of fight.
Rising boxing star Abdullah Mason voiced strong confidence in Terence Crawford, predicting not just a victory, but one that could shock many fans. He pointed out that Crawford's power is often underrated, yet highly dangerous. While the popular belief leans toward Canelo being the stronger fighter due to his size, Mason challenged that view. He argued that Crawford's ability to generate power through sharp timing, smart angles, and precise execution could prove even more effective if Crawford lands clean shots consistently, especially in the later rounds. Mason believes his bold prediction may very well come true.
I'll say Canelo Crawford, your prediction quickly.
Canelo Crawford. I got faith that Crawford can take it. I feel like Crawford, he might surprise some people with his strength. So it all depends on who's the better fighter.
Dmitry Bivol, the man who recently handed Canelo a decisive loss, offered strong praise for Terence Crawford. Having observed Crawford closely, Bivol noted that he has bulked up impressively and possesses the skills needed to win this fight. Bivol's opinion carries serious weight. He knows exactly what it takes to beat Canelo. He highlighted Crawford's discipline, speed, and high ring IQ as key advantages. When a fighter of Bivol's caliber endorses someone, it's a clear signal that this matchup is far more competitive than many might assume based on size or reputation alone.
In Dubai, maybe a month ago, I thought he's big, and he has very good skills. He's one of my favorite boxers. He able to win this fight, but there is a lot of but, and even not but, there is a lot of things, small things which we don't know how he will deal with this. He need to get used to the power and pressure of 168 because it's different, big difference, to be honest. Maybe he will get used to it, and how he will be feeling himself the same day when he will fighting, how his training camp will go on, a lot of things. But he's able, he has good skills, he's awkward, he can use two boxing stance. It gives him benefits, of course.
I was at that same event in Dubai just before Christmas, and I saw him too, and I thought exactly the same thing, which is that he is quite big.
Yeah.
Size obviously is important. Jamal Charlo stepped up from super welterweight to super middleweight to box Canelo, and it didn't work at all for him. But Crawford is, he's one of the best fighters in the world, isn't he? Obviously.
Keith Thurman offered a thoughtful perspective on the Crawford versus Canelo matchup. While the fight may appear evenly matched to casual fans, Thurman highlighted key technical disparities. He referenced Canelo's recent bout with Jermall Charlo, noting how Canelo struggled once Charlo began using smart movement and footwork. Despite being the aggressor, Canelo failed to cut off a ring or land meaningful shots. Thurman argued that Crawford, who is even more cerebral, strategic, and agile than Charlo, could pose even greater challenges. His ring IQ and adaptability might expose the same vulnerabilities in Canelo's approach, if not more.
And, we ain't getting punched in the face, so let's just watch the show and enjoy people. You know what I'm saying? Let's just watch what these champions do. No matter what they do, they're both great. They're both going to continue to be great, but by the end of the day, one will be above the other.
Your eyes?
It's not like, I think a lot of people are going to lean towards Canelo. I don't want to say it's like, I feel like for the fans, it's coming off 50-50. Like it's hard for me to really commit, because this is what happened, right? When Canelo just fought the Charlo, right? When he just fought Charlo, he knocked Charlo down. But after he knocked Charlo down and Charlo was using ring movement, he never hit Charlo with another big shot, okay? This is what Keith Thurman is watching. I'm not saying like, oh, Canelo didn't do good. Like, Canelo dominated. That fight, he dominated, right? But let's just pay attention to little details, right? After he got dropped, he never got hurt again. Why, you ask? Why did Canelo not hurt him again? Oh, because he was on his bike because he was using lateral movement, because he was watching with his eyes, and because he was being attentive with his defense, and he was able to make Canelo miss, but he was not able to make him pay.
On his podcast, Joe Rogan, joined by comedian and avid boxing fan Mike Vecchione, offer high praise for Terence Crawford. Rogan described Crawford as a phenomenal and dangerous athlete, lauding his unmatched skill set, disciplined mindset, and relentless work ethic. He emphasized that the upcoming fight against Canelo Alvarez isn't just a major test, but also a massive opportunity for Crawford, both in terms of financial reward and legacy. Rogan didn't hold back, calling Crawford arguably one of the greatest boxers alive today, and noting that this moment could solidify his place among boxing's all-time greats. Crawford, in his own words, shared his mindset heading into the clash. He acknowledged the size difference and admitted that Canelo might attempt to wear him down with physical pressure. Yet, Crawford appeared calm, focused, and confident, making it clear he's fully prepared, physically and mentally. He's not underestimating Canelo. Rather, he's respecting the challenge while trusting his own ability to adapt and execute. It's this mix of humility, self-belief, and strategic sharpness that makes Crawford such a formidable and intelligent fighter.
Good, work has been going great, and fight time we're gonna be prepared to put on a great show for you guys.
Has this been in your mind? We've been talking about it forever. Did you feel like this was eventually going to be the case, that you and Canelo were going to eventually get in there?
Not at all. I didn't, think it was, a fight that he wanted. So I didn't really know, but thanks to Turkey, Al-Sheikh, he made it possible, and we got one of the biggest fights in the last decade. Happening at Allegiant Stadium, September 13th.
When you get in there, what do you expect? Everyone's going to make a size difference, but what do you expect when you get in there with Canelo?
I'm expecting Canelo to be Canelo. He's the bigger man. I expect him to, box a little bit, but I also expect him, to try to walk me down and be the bigger man. So, we expect everything in there.
I was looking it up, and I think the last time Bud Crawford was an underdog for a fight was the Prescott fight back in 2013. Any difference? Do you even pay attention to odds, or that doesn't matter to you when you step in there into the ring that night?
No, definitely don't matter. The odds can't fight for him, so it is what it is.
Actor and martial artist Michael Jai White also shared his thoughts, confidently picking Terence Crawford to win. His reasoning was clear. Crawford has faced challenges like this before. Though moving up in weight, Crawford has consistently proven he can handle bigger opponents by neutralizing their strengths with smart strategy. For Jai, this fight isn't unfamiliar ground for Crawford. It's just a bigger stage with a different name. He expressed full confidence that Crawford will stay composed and perform as always, calculated, ruthless, and precise.
So you would put your money on Crawford?
Yes.
You make money.
Okay.
Let's put that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think Crawford's going to be?
Because Crawford could find people to fight like Canelo, who's amazing. Canelo has he's, oh my God, like he evolved. I saw how he evolved defensively and everything. I just don't think he's as fast as Crawford. And I think Crawford is just a little step ahead as far as movement is concerned. And so I think it's going to be Mayweather Canelo Part 2. That's what I think.
I mean, Canelo is naturally heavy.
Yeah, Crawford ain't gonna knock him out.
Huh.
But I don't know if Canelo's gonna land very solidly on Crawford.
Calvin Ford, trainer Gervonta Davis, applauded Terence Crawford for embracing such a massive challenge. Ford highlighted that it takes a rare kind of fighter, mentally and spiritually, to accept a fight where the odds, weight, and pressure are heavily stacked. That, he said, is what sets Crawford apart. His fearless pursuit of greatness, even on risky ground, speaks volumes. Crawford's willingness to face giants, both in size and reputation, reflects a legacy-driven mindset few possess.
Be the best example for him. Last question for you. Crawford, Canelo, who wins? Man, both of them guys are great. I respect I respect Crawford to jump in and take a big fight like that, and that's what makes great fights, to see the big fights and wondering which side gonna win. But like I said, they say Canelo's the GOAT. I remember when Canelo fought Floyd, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like we get another chance at seeing Crawford fight Canelo.
Veteran trainer Robert Garcia offered a frank evaluation of Canelo Alvarez's current style. He noted that, unlike earlier in his career, Canelo no longer aggressively chases knockouts. Instead, he adopted a more measured approach, focusing on winning rounds, conserving energy, and avoiding unnecessary damage. Garcia attributed this shift to age and the desire for career longevity. While Canelo remains highly effective, this more cautious style may not match the intensity Crawford is prepared for. If Crawford can exploit the slower tempo, it could turn the fight in his favor.
It's because Canelo doesn't go out for the knockout anymore. Canelo's just now, you know, we've seen in the last few fights, he just does enough to win. He did the same again, Munguia. He dropped Munguia, but they didn't want to finish him. Charlo, Berlanga. He wants to cruise through the fight. You know, he's up there, you know, in not in age, because he's only like 33 or 34, but he's
fighting since 15.
15, a lot of training camps, a lot of sparring matches. So all that takes a lot out of your body. So he takes care of his body too. So he doesn't go all out because he doesn't want to just finish his body. He knows he still has a few more years and a few big fights where he wants to take care of himself. And not punish himself too much. That's why he hasn't been able to knock those guys out. Not because he can't. I think he just does enough to win. I think Shiraz also has great power, man. I think Shiraz has the...
That's all for today's video. See you next time